Hello and welcome to the Supernatural track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z. Martin, and tonight we're talking about crossovers that should have happened. But before we start, let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Kyoko.
Hi everyone, I'm Kyoko M. I am the author of the Black Parade Urban Fantasy series, the Of Cinder and Bone science fiction series, and I'm contributor to two Marvel anthologies, Captain America: The Shield of Sam Wilson, and Black Panther: Tales of Wakanda. And I'm also got a trilogy with Falstaff Books as well. I was introduced to Supernatural in my post-college years when I was unemployed and had a really, really, really big old amount of free time. So I sat down and pounded. I think at the time, I think it was about 9 seasons were out. And so that's how I kind of got into Supernatural.
Okay, Thom?
You forgot to. My favorite part about you, Kyoko, is your website. What's your website?
SheWhoWritesMonsters.com.
I fucking love that one. That's my favorite. Like, and it works. It's so perfect for Supernatural. So,
Thank
like,
you.
we had to. I like when I first met Kyoko. That was one of the first things I saw because I was doing guest services at a con, and like I was like, "This is awesome! I want to be this person's friend." And now we are. But anyway, or at least I hope.
Yes, we are.
Yay! So I'm Thom DeSimone. I do stuff for Dragonmount.com. We started as a Wheel of Time fan website like 28 or 29 years ago now. I didn't start it. Careful to put that was Jason Denzel. I've been friends with him for going on 26 years, 27 years at this point. And in 2019, they invited me to start doing content creation. So I am a content creator for Dragonmount.com. We have a huge focus on fantasy, science fiction, fantasy literature. Our partner is Tor Books. I interview many Tor authors on our YouTube page, and they put clips out on TikTok and all that stuff. And every Monday, I do a live stream where we rewatch REWOTCH because I'm so clever. TV shows and movies. Currently, we're about to start The Clone Wars, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We actually delayed it, so we're going to be starting. I don't know when this is going to air, but we're going to be starting on February 3rd, I think is the Monday. It's every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We go live on the Dragonmount YouTubes.
And I'm Gail Z. Martin and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. But all my modern day worlds are ones that Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. I fell in love with Supernatural halfway through season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in a few weeks so that I could be ready for the start of season 12. Fell down the rabbit hole and haven't come back up and hope I never do. So, a couple of things as I was thinking about the conversation tonight is let's not worry about any possible crossovers being from necessarily contemporary shows. Let's just remove the time period and say that Gabriel could, snap his fingers, and if they wanted a crossover, doesn't matter when the other show ran. And so with that in mind, Kyoko, give us your first choice.
Yay! I love I get to go first because I am going to be so absurd tonight. I will have a serious answer, but I want to do a funny answer first.
Okay.
Because what I was doing when I came up with my list was I just kind of let my mind go blank, and then nothing happened because I have ADHD. So my brain forgot every single thing I've ever watched. So I am very neurotic. So I have a list of DVDs. So I went to my DVDs and I went, okay, what's all the stuff that I like? And I was going down, I saw one and I said, this is the greatest idea ever. So my first choice is Hocus Pocus.
Ooh.
Can
like
you imagine if the kids from Hocus Pocus were being watched over by the Winchesters at the time? Let's just say maybe the Winchesters got the wind of the Sanderson sister myth, and maybe there was a tip or something or whatever, or maybe they were just in the area when it happened and they saw it. It floored me. I laughed for an entire minute because I was like, I cannot even start to express how exasperated the Winchesters would be. But the funnier part is that despite them being really just kind of harebrained and goofy, which is part of the point of the movie, they were still threatening and actually still hard to exterminate because it kind
Yeah.
of really was you just had to survive the period until the sun came up. And so I thought about all the shenanigans that they could get into because they're the Winchesters. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
These old biddies, we got this. And they're trying thing after thing after thing and going, oh, okay, well, they are really doofy and stupid, but uh-oh, every last thing I've tried for witches didn't work. Okay, well, that's new. And then just thinking about the dynamic of that very big and over the top personality that Winifred Sanderson has, I consider her one of the greatest villains of our time. I really do.
Oh,
She is just everything about her. You hate her so much and you enjoy her so much. She is just terrible. So I was thinking about the dynamic of someone so big and so grand, having to deal with two very cynical and violent a couple of guys. So that is my first choice. I think that would be, I could easily write a fanfic where they stumble onto it and they're just trying to help the kids survive to morning. And they, oh my gosh, the Winchesters versus
fantastic.
the Sanderson sisters, I think would be the funniest thing ever. They would be
Oh my God.
so over it. And
Oh,
just their reactions to each other. Think about Sarah with her boy crazy ass having two 6 foot
girl,
gorgeous dudes trying to kill her. Oh,
soon
you
as
couldn't
you
think.
said, soon as you said Hocus Pocus, all I could see in my head is the scene or the several scenes that I'm sure would happen of like the different witches reacting differently to both Sam and Dean in that exact matter. You know, like, okay. Which one would Winifred prefer, Sam or Dean? Like,
I feel like it depends. I feel like she might like Dean a little bit more just because he's so straightforward and just very and Sam I think would give her less to kind of like mess with him. I think she would be attracted to Dean in the fact of like he's just so angry and tired and just I think she would fixate on him and I think Sarah would fixate on Sam. Mostly because it
yeah,
would be funnier because Dean wouldn't mind if Sarah was interested. Sam would be like, no, they eat children.
yeah.
I'm not gonna. Dean would kind of be like, I mean, she does got a body, I'm just
Who's
saying.
Hey,
I'm t-
Kyoko, I just went out to Archive of Our Own. There is supernatural and Hocus Pocus fan fiction.
oh
I
yes,
had to
that's
figure
awesome.
someone thought of that other than me, but I was like, oh, it's gotta be a thing because
There,
it would be so fun.
it's
So
be
it
careful
was
what you search for. It's out there.
That's true.
Winifred and Sarah, because Sarah Jessica Parker's witch's name was also Sarah. What was Kathy
I know,
not
I forget her name all the time so bad.
Mary?
Mary,
Was it Mary?
Mary.
Okay, it was
Yes,
Mary.
Mary.
Okay, I could see her and Sarah fighting over Sam.
Yes, that would be really, really good.
Yeah,
I could
and
easily see
Sam
it.
maybe like liking Mary or Kathy's character a little bit, and then like Winifred and Dean like also having like a back and forth a little, like because like in their universe in the supernatural, like the witches aren't always evil, so like they may not come from a point of like immediately fighting them like until they
Oh
find
yeah,
out
they
what's
might try
going
to reason with
on.
them first or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
so
thought
they
that,
find out that
man.
they're killing kids and shit, then they'll
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
that's what I was gonna say. The second they found out,
yeah,
oh, you eat babies. Okay, no, you gotta go.
yeah.
Yeah, we're taking
Mm,
care of you.
yeah, that's hilarious. I love that so much.
How about you, Tom?
Oh God. All right. So I have also like Kyoko and I had the same process for for coming up with our notes and lists. It was exactly the same. I also have a list of all of my DVDs and downloaded movies and all those things and TV shows, which I did consult. But I'll start and I'll follow your lead and I'll start off with the one that is funny first. Okay. So and there's already precedent for this, but Gilmore Girls. But Sam and Dean going to Stars Hollow, what is it? Connecticut, Massachusetts, New England, somewhere up in New England. I forgot exactly where it was. But Sam and Dean being there and it being a Halloween episode, they like there's already a precedent for them to do like WB Halloween episodes of shows that aren't supernatural in nature, but they'll have a supernatural Halloween episode that has like just a little hint on maybe it was a ghost or maybe those were aliens or and it'll never be mentioned again because like the episodes are usually self-contained to like each episode usually for those types of shows. But the hook on it I would want is so as everyone knows, Jared Padalecki also was on Gilmore Girls as Rory's boyfriend when they were in, I guess, high school, right? Yeah, they were in high school together. And then briefly again later, which was questionable. But anyway, I love Gilmore Girls. I've watched it multiple times. Uh, in this version of it, all I keep falling back on is a funny thing that Dean would fuck with Sam with. Excuse me, sorry. Dean would mess around with Sam with for the entire episode is, and I can't remember his character's name in Gilmore Girls at the moment. It's just escaping me. Oh, Dean. His name was Dean in Gilmore Girls. That's why it was funny. His name was Dean in Gilmore Girls. He's taller than Sam, just by a little bit. Just
That'd
a little.
cute, yeah.
Yeah, he's just a little taller than him. So that'll be like a little poke that Crowley or Sam or like you guys look alike, and it'll be Jared Padalecki playing both characters, and like they'll both be like, I don't know what you're talking about, and like I could just see it being fucking hilarious, but also at the same time having it be like a Halloween episode where there really is something going on, probably magic oriented, not monster like killing people and bloody deaths and stuff, more like people taking advantage and like something happening where like someone was like controlling or doing something to the people of Stars Hollow and like something like that, and they come in and save the day and then leave and then it's never mentioned again. But I really think it would be funny to do a Gilmore Girls.
Well, I've really, really, really loved 3 TV shows so far in my life, one of which is Supernatural. But the other 2 were when I was growing up, one of which was Scooby-Doo, and we got the crossover. I'll still sit down and watch a Scooby-Doo episode. I mean,
100%.
I love them. But the other one was Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows was a 1970s soap opera about vampires and witches and werewolves in this mansion up in Maine. And this really messed up family, most of whom were supernaturals of one kind or another. And I could just imagine, Barnabas Collins was the big vampire.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine Sam and Dean rolling into Collinsport, Maine. And it would be a very short crossover because Barnabas was a werewolf and his cousin was Barnabas was a vampire. His cousin was a werewolf. Half the women were witches. There were a bunch of ghosts. But by the time Sam and Dean were through, and it would be an exhausting weekend, the house could be put on the market and Collinsport would be safe again. So, it would be an action-packed crossover. And, time periods totally don't line up, but
oh yeah,
that would be fun.
Hey, they've time traveled before.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all plausible within the lore of
yeah, especially since they do like you went to another dimension where this is a show, like stuff like that. They do have like little bits of multiverse and other dimension stuff. So no, it's
absolutely
possible.
Yeah. Back to you, Kyoko.
All right, since I did a silly one first, my next actually will be a real one. Sleepy Hollow, and in this instance, actually both of them would work. The Johnny Depp one or the one that I'm going to talk about, which is the one with Nicole Bahari and Tom Mison.
The TV show, right?
The TV show, right? Very short-lived. So just to give us a brief recap, Sleepy Hollow was this story about Ichabod Crane in their universe was a real historical figure. He was fighting in the British Army. There was his adversary turned out to be a rival that used to like fight him for his wife and blah, 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 but ended up on the other side. There's this crazy like magical spell that entwines the 2 of them. And so they both kill each other in a mutual kill on the battlefield, but their life forces get like mixed together somehow, and this crazy spell happens and they both get randomly resurrected. So now there's a headless horseman running around chopping off people's heads, and then there's Ichabod Crane that just woke up and is like, I'm sorry, what the hell is going on? And it's so sad because you can't talk about the show without the tragedy of how badly things went. But if anybody was ever curious, the first season is still very, very solid and a lot of fun. So the how he ends up, the actual premise of the show is Crane bumps into a cop named Abby Mills, and Abby Mills turns out to be a witness. And in their universe, a witness is like this prophecy of like these 2 people that are supposed to basically protect the world from all these different smaller sequences that would lead to the apocalypse. So the 2 of them team up and kind of like work together to try and prevent the apocalypse. So they start getting and it's a monster show of the week type of format where they kind of just jump from monster to monster, because after it woke them up, a whole bunch of other stuff, different cryptids, different monsters, different creatures all woke up as well. The reason I really enjoy it is just that Crane is very possessive of Abby. And to have two super hot guys show up and try to help them. First of all, Dean would be macking on her immediately. She is his type. She's a cop. She's tough. She got a body. She's really sweet. She's funny. She's interesting. She could take care of us. Oh my God. Dean would propose on day one. There would be instant proposal from Dean. That just she is every check mark that he absolutely loves. And she's short. He tends to like the short ones. So that would be funny just because Crane would be going out of his mind that Dean is chasing after her with his whole chest. And Crane is just like, well, he came back. I lived in the Civil War times. I'm a distinguished gentleman. I can't approach my lady friend and tell her that I am in love with her. I have my heart promised to all that kind of crap. And he would take one look at Dean and just want to sock him in the face. And that would be so wonderful. But also, I really think Sam would get along with Crane, and just because of the two of them, Crane is really good at just kind of the cranial stuff. He's always the researcher. He's always the one who knows the lore. He's always the one that gives her historical backgrounds of the stuff that he did when he was during his lifetime. And so I think he and Sam would actually get along very, very well because their personalities are very different, but a lot of the way that they approach problems and the way their actual temperament would be really, really kind of similar. So I just think that the dynamic between the four of them would actually be very, very delightful and a lot of fun. And because they both sort of handle very similar types of monsters, so stuff like they've had a Sandman, they had a Golem, they had a Wendigo. A lot of their cryptids that they picked are some that have appeared in Supernatural. So that's why everybody was so confused. Sleepy Hollow did have exactly one crossover, and they crossed over with Bones.
I
And I
know,
was
yeah,
like,
it was weird.
no one could figure out why because they were just like, okay, first of all, are the two demographics similar? Yes, but again, it just didn't mesh. You were just like, why would you pick a universe that didn't seem to have? I don't know if Bones has magic in it. I've never seen it, but it
It
Well,
just
doesn't.
wasn't
seemed.
Ichabod Crane supposed to be, at least in some versions, either a teacher or librarian or something? I seem to remember him always having a book in his
I
hand,
think he was
which
a
would
professor
Exactly.
in
definitely
the show.
connect him to Sam. I think they'd hit it off. Yeah.
I do too. Yeah. And but it,
Yeah.
it was a little odd. So unfortunately, Super Hollow's only crossover was Bones. And we don't know. I didn't even bother to watch the episode because I was like, what I have
That's
nothing to
strange.
I've never seen the show. But I do think those two pairings together would be really fun. And like I said, you could really pick up a bunch of different type of monsters because that's really what the show format in Sleepy Hollow is similar to. They get a call, someone's been murdered, they go into the case. Usually Ichabod will identify the stuff that they found at the scene of the crime and try to figure out what it is. Once they figure out what it is, they go back to the archive. They have this big old giant archive, very similar to like Men of Letters era during Supernatural. And then they try to
Yeah.
figure out from there. Once they do that, they come up with a strategy to go chase whatever it is and try to kill it before it gets to anybody else. And so, like I said, even in the way that they're formatted, it was very similar. And like you mentioned when you sent me the link for the Hocus Pocus Supernatural crossover, would not be surprised if there were a lot of Supernatural and Sleepy Hollow crossovers, given how very similar in tone and just the stuff that
Hmm.
they go after was.
Okay. Tom?
Oh man, I loved Sleepy Hollow. I forgot about that show, man. The all right, so the more serious one also that I have a whole list too. Like, anyway, I have two more serious ones. So one I'm just gonna mention, and then the other one I'm gonna go into the DCU, fucking all of the DCU shows or the current DCU. There's plenty of alternate Earths, and if you don't say that Castiel could easily just be Constantine, you don't know who Constantine is. Like that's just
They modeled him
he.
after him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is literally modeled after Constantine, except he has a blue tie instead of a red tie. That's literally the only difference between the two people. But anyway, the other one is so my more serious one is X-Files. So I think that would be a ton of fun. I think it would have to be like, so if we're talking like which show are we watching? Like we're watching the X-Files and Sam and Dean have a crossover into an X-Files episode. And it's Mulder, he's the more so for those who don't know, who have never seen X-Files, most people are aware of what it is, but just for real quick, Mulder is the believer and Scully is supposed to be the skeptic. She's a medical doctor, so like often she's there to like be like, no, it wasn't, a supernatural sound. It was this, vent that vibrates and it makes whatever. And like, she would be the one that would take apart the paranormal aspects of things, and Scully would be to counter Mulder's more believable nature. He's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist too, if you watch the show. But anyway, it would be shown from their perspective as two other FBI agents with these whacked out names just show up on scene to a to something and start, helping with their investigation. And in X-Files, they've had vampires, and like straight up vampires, like not even like it was like an alien that was like kind of like a vampire. No, straight up just vampires. They've had all types of cryptids like El Chupacabra, fucking the one that everyone, the Mothman, all kinds of like folklorish cryptids, which are like the bread and butter of Supernatural. Like, to be honest, like I love a lot of the overarching stories of Supernatural. But my favorites are always just like the Monster of the Week episodes, like that we would get just randomly in the middle of things, like, oh yeah, we stopped over in fucking random town in Tennessee that no one's ever heard of, and there's a fucking, what's it called, a Wendigo or something that's terrorizing a local camp, and that's it. And then they solve it and leave, and those people are never seen again, and that's the end of the episode. And that would be what this is. It would just be like a crossover with the two of them. Or they could even make it like an ongoing thing where they're like, oh, these guys, they show up at only these paranormal things. And I just think like it could be, and also X-Files and Supernatural have a similar vibe in that they deal with serious things, and they are serious, but if you've never watched X-Files, it is also kind of funny. Like,
oh, sure.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of comedy in X-Files. Like it's a little bit more subtle and it's a little bit more few and far between than a show like Supernatural. But I think it would be freaking hilarious and potentially really interesting to see like how they interact with each other, and like, does Scully like become like half a hunter? Like, does he want to do it? Like, I think it would be a lot of fun.
I also think that would be another instance of like Dean trying to hit on her as hard as he can, and Mulder's in the back like, okay, look, I just Scully, you better get him away from you, because I don't play that. Like, you just, he would be ready to ride on Dean, because Dean would be after her immediately.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you can even see it going the other way, where like Scully is the one that likes them, but Mulder is the one that doesn't like them, because you would think it would be the other way around, being that he is the believer and they, are also believers. But I would probably end up being the other way around.
I agree.
Oh, that's funny. I can see
I
the
can go for one that seems sort of obvious but never happened, and that's Buffy.
Oh yeah, that was on there
Hello.
Too.
Now I did not realize, and when I was doing research for tonight as well, there was no official Supernatural and Buffy crossover, but they shared 4 different key actors: James Marsters, who was Spike, Charisma Carpenter, who was Cordelia, Rob Benedict, who was Chuck and God, and Julie Benz, who played Darla in Buffy. So,
may I ask, where was Marsters? I didn't hear that.
Marsters was Spike in.
No. I mean, in Supernatural. What?
He was.
He was like a rich guy.
A vampire named Bones.
Really? Oh, I hadn't looked that up. I'm gonna go look that up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I'm going from Google's summary, but Charisma Carpenter played a demon, and Rob Benedict was a vampire, and so they managed to get some Easter eggs in there without being a full-fledged official crossover, but that would have been fun,
Yeah.
just seeing the different approaches to the paranormal, where Sam and Dean just kind of come in and like, all right, we're gonna kill them all, unless we like them, and then we chum around with them, So it could have been interesting. Back to you, Kyoko.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Thank you for saying that one. So I'll go back to I'll do a silly one, just because, and this has been said before, and I'll go ahead and take the hate on it. Twilight. I want Sam and Dean to just eliminate
just for the
every
jokes.
Single character, and I mean spare no. Mustache Dad gets a pass. But other than Mustache Dad, I'm like, no, I want them to go there and nuke Forks. I want every last one. And I want a death scene for each individual character because the nightmare that I live in, because I write urban fantasy that has been created directly by Twilight, all of the girls who went into really unhealthy relationships because they read Twilight, just I've always wanted to watch them just massacre all of them and very easily too. Like I don't want it to be like a whole thing. Like I really mean like in 24 hours they've killed them all with like no effort, and then they go get a burger and a shake after. Like that is always been my fantasy, and I know I'll get hate for that, and that's fine. I'm sorry. I absolutely cannot stand that series and would applaud watching them get just absolutely murked by
I'm here for that.
monsters.
I make an addendum, and if you like it,
Sure.
the what's his Dean's vampire friend from Benny from Purgatory is with them during this and he's mad that these people are also called vampires. Like he does not like
of course. They're disgracing the name of vampire. So yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, Benny, come along. You can be helped. You can be helped.
The through line, the joke that occurs throughout the entire episode are, why are you hundreds of years old going to high school, getting with children? You horrible person. Like you're a horrible person.
You're gross.
Anyway.
You're
Okay, so I get Twilight. How do you feel about Interview with the Vampire?
That one
Which
I
one?
think would be
Which
interesting.
one?
Yes, yes,
Well,
he's right.
the series, the book series.
So from the books. Okay.
From the
okay.
book.
I think that would be that one I would want to see
Changes
just
things.
to see how they react to Lestat, because Lestat is the man created his own subtrope from Dracula. Like that's how influential that he is. I would absolutely agree. I think that would be phenomenal. He would
be
give
interesting.
not only would he give them just a lot of trouble, but just their reaction to him would just be so they're not used to seeing because they're used to over the top, personalities like Crowley, because duh. But just seeing the level of monster that he is and the lack of regret and just how so much is tied up in his ego and things would be very juicy. I think so.
I want to add Sam and Dean to the early 2000s list. What was the movie list? I don't remember. The one with was it Brandy? The one that played she was Akasha Lestat. It was a Lestat movie. He was like a
Queen
rock
of the
and roll
Damned?
Queen of the Damned. I always forget the name of that movie. Like that would be funny. It would be funny, but also holy shit, is she a powerful vampire for them to fight?
I've never seen that one, but I heard as much. Yeah.
Oh God, it's a great. First of all, you should watch it because it's not an amazing movie or anything, but it's referenced a lot and it's fun in a lot of aspects. And then obviously, fucking Akasha is amazing in that. But it really would be interesting to see Sam and Dean fight with them there. I'm totally here for that. That's awesome.
Okay. How about you, Tom? What's your next one?
All right, I got two funny ones. I'll let you guys pick which one. I have notes on two, like good notes on two of them. One is the Munsters, and then the other one is oh shit, I didn't write that one down, but I have it. I had it. It was there. Well, I'll just do the Munsters. No, it's there. I'll say it. No. Nope. I have the.
It might circle back around while you talk.
Yeah, I have the Wayans brothers, Buffy and Angel, the Jamie Foxx show, the Vampire Diaries. I can't remember which one it was. It doesn't. All right, whatever. The Munsters. We'll do the Munsters. So like, the Munsters would be funny for so many reasons. Like, obviously, so like you said, different time in both our world and the TV show. So it would be like probably some sort of time travel type thing. And to have them in black and white would be hilarious. Like they would, that would be the running joke of them making jokes about that too. But it could also double as of a more serious episode in that the monsters aren't the monsters in the Munsters. If you follow me there. It would be the people that were the monsters. Everyone's like, oh God, like I could see Sam and Dean hanging out in the bunker and like opening up a newspaper and being like, this family in wherever, I don't even remember where they were in the show, in the Munster show. And like, and they see like a picture of the wife and I was like, she kind of looks like a vampire. And then like a picture of the grandfather and like, he's blah, blah, blah vampire. He's been alive for 1,000 years. And like, this is where he's hiding. And then they go there and they find out that they're actually good. And they go through that whole thing, but it would still have probably a lot of comedy in it. There's a lot of slapstick comedy, like the old school, like almost Laurel and Hardy type comedy that's in the Munsters that I think Sam and Dean, especially because they did a lot of that type of comedy in Scooby-Doo, because Scooby-Doo is also based on that type of comedy. Like the people that wrote Scooby-Doo originally wrote it in that with them in mind, Laurel and Hardy and shit, what were the other two guys? Old school comedians. I used to watch my grandfather all the time. I don't remember. Two very famous, like the famous black and white comedian.
It could be a lot. I was gonna say it could be the Marx Brothers. I have no idea.
No, I don't remember. It'll be another thing I shout out in a few minutes. But yeah, no, the Munsters I think would be. It could be very funny, but it could also be very poignant to where they, have the lesson that Dean has to learn again. That just because this is an undead creature that's been brought back to life, and there's 3 vampires and all kinds of other monsters that show themselves throughout the series, that they're not bad though. Like we don't have to kill them just because they're different or monsters, and like that would be the overarching theme of the episode, while still also being fucking hilarious, which I think the writers do well in
for the original show, The Munsters, and the time it was produced. It was actually a very sneaky thing to say. The weirdos aren't the ones you need to worry about. It's the normal people who are dangerous.
Normal.
In the 60s and 70s, that's kind of a big thing to drop on people. And they managed to do it with humor, and I'm sure it went over a lot of people's heads. But, when you look back on it, especially, you go, okay, that was pretty clever. Well, I'm going to wrap us up with one more, and that is Fringe.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
So, imagine Sam and Dean kind of walking into this, and are these researchers on our side? Are they, are we with them? Are we against them? Are we helping each other? It could get real messy. It could get real gray. It could get, there could be a lot of moral quandaries. And, but I think it would be very interesting because here you've got these researchers with a parallel world and FBI, real FBI, and while they're debating and trying to figure out how all this stuff works, Sam and Dean just go out and shoot things with a shotgun. This is how it works. You want to know if it's real?
There it is.
There it is. Tied it on the top of the car like a deer.
Yeah.
So I think that could have been real interesting. Well, folks, we have run out of time. I bet there are a million more things on your list. In this post, go ahead and mention those in the comments because that's part of the fun. But before we wrap up, let's tell folks where they can find you online. And if you have a new, recent, or upcoming book, tell us about it too. Kyoko?
Once again, I can be found at shewhowritesmonsters.com. I have one book out for fall staff that's called The Starlight Contingency. Recently, though, we've got a couple anthologies out by Milton J. Davis. So one of them was Space Funk, which is an enormous compilation of specifically Black and African authors and poets. I think it's up to like maybe 40 or 50 of them in that one collection. Hugely dense book full of so much talent. You can find that at MV Media. That is the name of his website. So if you just go to Google, put in MV Media, you will be able to find that there. Highly recommend it. Bunch of very, very talented folks in that one. And I did want to do a shout out to Abigail, which is that vampire movie with the little ballerina. I would have really loved that. Like instead of it being what it was just she trapped the two of them because let's say maybe they murder her father or something. That would have been a whole lot of fun. If you've never seen Abigail, I highly recommend that movie. It was very good.
Okay. Thom?
I also love Milton, MV Media. Milton Davis is a great human being and also a great author. But anyway, so I'm Thom DeSimone again. Like I said, I do a lot of content creation for dragonmount.com. So if you go to dragonmount.com, you could find links to like our YouTube and our Twitch and TikTok and all the places that we make content. I am not the only content creator there. We also have several other lovely human beings, 2 of which are my co-host, who is always on my Monday lives with me, Crystal, and Kitty, who is our she is a working actor, and she does like different she does focuses mostly on our TikTok, but does a lot of different characters. You never know who's she's going to be fully cosplaying dressed as when she makes her crazy TikTok nonsense. But like I said, also we have a sponsorship with Tor Books. We have a Tor book club, which they supply us with books, which we give out to our the book club participants as we have supply. And then at the end of which the book club, we interview the author with our book club, which we record and then put on YouTube. So it's live for our book club, the interview where they get to participate, like Q&A and things, and then we put it on our YouTube channel, and all the other content creation that we do, live
Very cool.
streams, pre-recorded, all that.
And I'm pretty easy to find at gailzmartin.com, morganbryce.com. If you spell those right, you'll find me on all the other major social media sites. The most recent books to come out are on the Morgan Bryce side. That's the Male Male Paranormal Romance. One of them is Angels and Omens, and that is in my Treasure Trail romance series set in Cape May, New Jersey. And the other is the audio book for Thunder Road, which is in my Badlands series. And that just came out, well, last week as we're recording. So thank you guys so much for being absolutely wonderful guests. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There'll be more Supernatural coming up soon. So we'll see you online.